So yes, indeed, this month we are talking about love. And indeed, Sue sings that with deep meaning and high spirit. You gotta love it. So talking about love is the theme this month. And today, our topic is the mission of love. And I'm using the word mission as described in the definition as a calling with enthusiasm to succeed. In the words of Gandhi, one of the models of peace in the season for nonviolence, which is now unfolding throughout the world, Gandhi said, "Throughout history, the way of love and truth has always won." And our own dear Ernest Holmes defines love this way: love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Its expression is spontaneous and unconditional. You know, every time I read that quote, I get chicken skin from it. The self-givingness of spirit. In and of itself, that's a call to us to model that quality of God which is inherent within us. Surely the act of creation is a givingness without expectation of anything in return. Our Principles of Financial Freedom students know that kind of giving as gracious giving. And indeed, Spirit gives us life with such graciousness and love. Our only job is to keep giving those qualities by means of our own lives. After all, we're tapped in to that endless, that limitless supply. Love is a cosmic force, Holmes says. A cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Sue says, you gotta have it. Cosmic means everywhere, folks. Universally and uninterruptedly. Its synonyms include words like immeasurable, fathomless, infinite, limitless, boundless. Kind of like opulent, aren't they? They're just juicy words. And it's irresistible. Well, of course it is. Who would want to resist the feeling and language of a quality of divine spirit that honors, cares about, respects, and acknowledges the very essence of our being? That's powerful stuff. And then Dr. Ernie goes on to say, its expression is spontaneous and unconditional. The spontaneous part of that's easy. We can simply let it unfold by means of us in its natural and unaffected way. And its expression is unconditional. That self-givingness of spirit that is the source and the function of love is unconditional. Though for some people, this represents a challenge, doesn't it? So we may need to do some work in this area as we learn to let ourselves love without expectation, love without judgment, love without dependency. In Catherine Ponder's book, The Prospering Power of Love, she talks about love as the greatest success power there is. Within each of us, all the love we need for healing, prosperity, and happy relationships, she says. It isn't necessary to search outside ourselves for that. We can begin by releasing it from within through our thoughts, through our words and actions, through our affirmative prayers. We can deliberately generate and produce love. Ponder likens that to developing an electrical force. She says, as you begin to radiate it outward into every part of the world, you attract the right and perfect people, the right and perfect situations, the right and perfect conditions for your success and happiness. And then you realize, wow, I am no longer at the mercy of the world. Instead, the world responds to my thoughts and feelings of love with love. So here's an affirmation for sending out love. Divine love is doing its perfect work in me and through me now. Let me phrase that for you and have you repeat those phrases after me. Divine love. Let's try that again. Help me, Kim. Divine love is doing its perfect work in me, and through me now. Here it is again. A little different. Divine love is doing its perfect work in you and through you now. Divine love is doing its perfect work in you and through you now. Good at this. Here it is a third time. Divine love is doing its perfect work in all people everywhere and through all people now. Okay? Divine love is doing its perfect work in all people everywhere and through all people now. And that's all good too. So, you've all heard me refer to this book by Dr. Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Waldman, How God Changes Your Brain. I love this book. In his research, Dr. Newberg, who is a neuroscientist, is the director of research at the University of Pennsylvania. And Dr. Newberg has discovered that contemplating the positive qualities and attributes of God, such as love, which he calls out directly, love, causes your brain structure to improve memory, cognitive functioning, and even physical health. Series of neuroscience studies have identified that just thinking about the quality of God, called love, can alter the overall neurological functioning of the brain. And brain function mirrors new thought. First of all, thoughts clearly affect the neurological functions of the body, including the brain, because the brain's a part of the body. It's not all the body, because this whole body is an intelligent, functioning system. So, the neurological functions of our brain and the other organs of our body are affected by our thinking. Second, optimism is essential for maintaining a healthy brain. Whoa, think on that. 3, positive thoughts neurologically suppress negative thoughts because you can't think both simultaneously. Choose one or choose the other. 4th, change the way you think, and you begin to change your outward circumstances. And part of that is the brain is changing neurologically. And Dr. Newberg watches it. He can actually see this through instrumentation, how this occurs. 5, consciousness reality, your mind and spiritual beliefs are profoundly interconnected and inseparable from the function of the brain. If you haven't read How God Changes Your Brain, do yourself a favor and read it now. If you have read it, you might find, as I am right now, that rereading it is a whole new experience. I found sections that I guess I didn't retain when I first read it. And I'm finding sections underlined that are like visiting old friends and remembering how much they mean to you. At the present time, Newberg has written 6 books, the first 3 of which were a composite of his original research. And the original books, those original 3, are called The Mystical Mind, Why God Won't Go Away, and Why We Believe What We Believe. Then this one, the flagship of his works, which got and continues to keep the attention of spiritual and religious practitioners. This is good work. It's fascinating, isn't it, that the mission of love appears in every aspect of life. And Andy Newberg is not the first medical doctor to chronicle that. In fact, he is now an adjunct professor in the School of Religion at the University of Pennsylvania, not in place of his research, but in addition to it. What a lovely crossover this is, where we're finding the medical field moving into the metaphysical field as the metaphysicians are finding more and more truth in so much of the medical research that has unfolded in the last half century. Well, as most of you know, we are currently in the 64 days called the Season for Nonviolence, as I've referenced in my previous talks. And one of the ways we practice nonviolence is by replacing it with loving, positive, life-affirming thoughts. You can go into the Association for Global New Thought website and find all kinds of tools, proclamations, events, and links to support your own path in peace. One of those is a list of words, quotations, affirmations, and practices coalesced into an online living peace mandala. And I've printed out the list, the key to the daily words for the 64 days of the Season of Nonviolence. Today's word is inspiration. And I am knowing that the standing in the light information that you heard, that the music that you hear, and these words in this talk today are a part of the inspiration for you in support on your mission of love, universal peace. It's really interesting that tomorrow's word, and I didn't look at this until I finished the talk, tomorrow's word is mission. So, and there are a few copies of this list over there. However, there is a website that you can go to, and it's so easy to remember. There are no excuses for having forgotten it. It's agnt.org. agnt.org, and then go to Season for Nonviolence, and you will find all of this information and more with regard to the mandala, which you can print out at no cost, and other resources that you can go to read up on Season for Nonviolence if you are interested. So, to get you started on this practice, here's an affirmation for today. I am inspired as the world responds to my thoughts and feelings of love with love. Want to say that with me? I am inspired as the world responds to my thoughts and feelings of love with love. And so it is. So, no coincidence that tomorrow's word is mission, since we're talking about the mission of love. It's just perfect right order, just showing up like it always does. So, the word mission, if you remember at the beginning of this talk, was defined as a calling with enthusiasm to succeed. We do this in so many areas throughout our lives. As a small child learning to walk, as a growing child learning to read, as a teen learning independence, as an adult to make a difference in our work, in raising a family, and so it goes. And in all of these, there is always love. Love of self, love of the challenge, the interaction with loved ones. So you see, the mission of love, then, is to produce and to sustain good in our lives. We don't have to figure out how that works. We just get to dare to release it from within ourselves, where it's already residing in endless supply. What's the difference if you give it away and don't seem to get it back from someone or something in particular? The source of it is unending. You cannot be depleted or run out of it. I'm talking about love. And so it is.